Hello Pandabarians, it's life coaching tip time. Today's subject is going to be needs versus wants. And I know that a lot of people don't like to address this because it's a touchy subject, but I have to say the needs versus wants is different per person depending on what your schedule is or what your life requires. What might be a need for me would be a want for you. So you have to take what I say and evaluate it for you. But do determine what is a need in your life versus what is a want. For example, do you really need 20 different pair of shoes? Or can you buy some neutral colored pair of shoes and wear them with multiple outfits and get down to like 5? Oh my goodness, 5, yes. Well, I probably have more than 5, but that counts sneakers for exercising, plus some dress shoes, plus some casual shoes. So that's not outrageous for that when you're thinking of the purpose of what you're doing. But you probably don't need 20, 30, 40 pair of shoes. And we live in a country where we have access to so much stuff. It's ridiculous. And so we have to determine when we see things, are we buying it because we really need that, or is it because we want it? Another thing is how much you pay for an item. For example, if you're not into sports, you probably don't need to spend $200 on a pair of sneakers. Probably $30 pair would be sufficient for what you need. Depends what your needs are and what you're doing with it. And there again, on your clothes. Do you have clothes in your closet that you don't even know exist because you just have so many that you don't even get around to wearing them? So let's get rid and purge and clean out and think about what it is that we really need. And when you go to the store, just because you like something doesn't mean that you need it. Let's make sure we determine that. Another big item is cell phone. Do you need the latest and greatest iPhone, or can you get by with something less? It depends on what your usage is for it. We kind of use ours right now for emergency use, so I don't talk on it, I don't do a lot of other stuff on it, and we get the very minimal plan, so I don't need a fancy phone because I haven't found the need for that. So for me to pay a lot of money for a cell phone is not worth it, but for me to get the smaller plan and the simpler phone, it works great for me. Now, one of my weak points, and it's a really weak point of mine, is buying movie DVDs, buying books, buying music CDs, and those are not things that we need. But it's one of those things that if I get it and I really, really like it and know that I'm going to read it a lot or watch that DVD a lot, and then it's worth the purchase for me, so that I don't need to get it from somewhere else. However, we also live where our library system is great, and we can borrow all kinds of DVDs and books, a ton of books from the library system without paying a penny for them. And it's just a trip to the library, which, okay, I love books, so that's not a problem anyway. So it's how many do I really need to own? I don't really need 17,000 bookshelves, and I won't tell you how many we have. That would be embarrassing. But that is a weak point of mine. So I have to determine, is it something that we're going to watch frequently or something we're going to read frequently that is worth owning? Or is it just a story I'll read once and I'll never read it again, because then I can get it from the library. And then another big area is the kitchen. How much do you really need a toaster or a toaster oven or this mixer and that blender and all these small appliances that we have in our kitchen? Do we really use them enough to make them worthwhile of a purchase and taking up space in our limited space that we have in the kitchen? So there again, it's figuring out what your needs are. And some people will use a blender much more than what they would use a mixer. So what is it that you use? And of course, going along with the books and office supplies and school supplies, I am a freak for school supplies and getting new binders and new paper and new pens. And so we have like a whole shelf of 3-ring binders. We're not using them all, but as I see them on sale or I get them at thrift stores or people are getting rid of them, they no longer want them, I'll pick them up. And I think that someday we might actually use them, but I don't know that it might be in this lifetime, so that might be a little extreme. But I seldom pay full price for a binder, so that's how I'm justifying that, whether it's right or wrong. And then a big ticket item is for that new car. Do you really need to buy a new one, or can you pay a lot less money and get a used one? I know that there's pros and cons for both, and here again it depends on what your needs are for a vehicle. If you need to put 15 people into a vehicle, that changes the perspective a lot more than if you only need it for yourself or for 2 or 3 people. So again, it's the difference of really saying, this is what I need and this is what I want, and then making a good choice about it. Not saying that you can't ever buy something that you want, but really being honest about what you need versus want. One of my biggest pet peeves is seeing people post stuff on Facebook and it says, oh, I want that, or I need that, and it's like, I don't think you need it. Yeah, you probably want it, but it's not something you need. But it just makes us seem like a really selfish society, that as we look at those things and we're like, oh, I need that, it's like, well, no, you don't. You need water to drink, that's a need, and you do need some kind of shelter from the storm, especially if you live in an area where it gets really cold. You do need some clothing to help you stay warm in the winter, depending where you live, of course. But those are the things that we need. So my challenge for you is to just determine, is it something that you really need, or is it something that you want, and be honest about it, and then make your decision accordingly. And have fun doing it. But you can cut out a lot of things just by making that honest choice between the two. I hope that's been helpful for you, just to spark some interest and contemplate where you are and this, what is your weak point and where you struggle with it. And sometimes it's just being honest and say, I recognize it's a need, but it is something I want and I'm going to buy it anyway. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful to you, and have a great day.